Hey there, I am back with another deck review, and today we're going to be looking at the Chronos Players Playing Cards Carmina Edition from Oath Playing Cards and designer Lotrek. Lotrek is known for his beautifully detailed and intricate, ornate, and often expensive designs of playing cards. Has lots of different decks, but you can also get some of his decks, including some fairly limited ones like this one, for really reasonable price points. The Chronos is the third deck in the Chronos series, this Carmina edition that we're looking at. It's exclusive to JP Games Limited, limited to just 1,000 decks, but it can be obtained for a little over 20 bucks, which compared to the triple digits that a lot of his designs can fetch, really reasonable, and you get all of the detail and quality that we've come to expect from Lotrek and Oath. Now, getting into the deck itself, let me start with a story because it's an interesting one. Lotrek decided to play around with what he could do with producing a deck design on a really limited time frame. And when I say limited, I mean super limited. He designed from concept all the way to a printed deck in about 2 weeks. You can see the entire thing documented and all the designs on his Facebook page and kind of follow along with the entire story. But he started out with nothing, just some initial concept sketches, produced the back design, tuck case, court cards, pips, everything, and then had a printed beginning in 2 weeks. Really amazing to see what he did. And that play on time, I imagine, is where the name Chronos came from. Chronos is the personification of time in Greek mythology. So really interesting to follow along. The first version of the deck that he produced was the collector's edition, done in a beautiful white, aged looking tuck case. He brought that along to the 52 plus Joker convention at the end of last year. But since then, he's produced a couple of different players playing card versions of the deck, including this most recent one, the Carmina edition. So let's jump into the deck and find out how he did on this really limited time frame. Now, starting out with the tuck case, it's done in this beautiful maroon color. I love that dark, deep color, matte finish tuck case, and it's beautifully embossed, a super deep embossing all the way through, along with copious amounts of gold and even white foil all over the deck. Most prominent feature, of course, is the large clock face in the center with Chronos, the name of the deck, right down the center. And then you have borders with all sorts of different ornate designs, including a really prominent gear element around the edge of the clock. And then you can see some of those details and different flourishes all the way around and just shimmering in that gold foil throughout. Now you also get something I really like, which is the deep embossed elements here that aren't foiled, just pressed through the paper and giving you these little extra flourishes in here. Really nice, beautiful feel to it. And then you have Oath playing cards at the bottom. They're really beautifully done. On the sides here, we got Players Edition, and then manufactured in Greece. So he doesn't print his decks on the typical stock from like US PCC or Cartamundi. He has his own printer out of Greece that does the decks. On the bottom, get a little bit of ad copy for Oath. Of course, this is a limited edition. And you can see on this gold box here, it is hand numbered. I got number 421 out of 1,000. The top here just has some extra little design elements, and the back's going to be a foiled and embossed version of the back of the cards. We'll look more at those details in a second, but you can see that beautiful shining gold foil. And then nothing printed on this large oversized inner flap, and then a couple of extra elements, kind of looks like a keyhole or something like that on the inner flaps here. Nothing printed on the interior of the tuck, but you can see some bits of that really deep embossing coming through. So fantastic job, really thick stock, nice quality on the tuck case, but let's get into the cards. All right, we'll start with the back design, and here it is. Done with that same red, and then this time some gold metallic inks, really thick, bold lines throughout. There's so much gold on this one, it's almost gold with a little bit of red ink as opposed to the other way around. But lots of beautiful elements all the way through. I would call it, I don't know, steampunk inspired maybe. Lotrek has said he doesn't like the word steampunk. And I don't even know that it's steampunk other than the fact that there's a bunch of gears on this thing. Maybe that's all steampunk really is. But you have lots of gear elements fitting for the clock and time theme, and extra little flourishes kind of filling in almost all of the empty space. Beautiful two-way back design, more of those really intricate borders all the way around the edge, and then finishes out with a white poker border. And it's not a clean line all the way through. You can see it's kind of broken up by little elements along the top, sides, and corners as well. Really beautiful, intricate. Love the detail that goes into this one, and I love the big bold gold lines. These aren't super thin lines. They're really bold, and yet at the same time produce some just perfect patterning around the edges. So there's the back design. You also get a couple of jokers with the deck, and keeping with the time theme, they both feature an hourglass in the center. They are slightly different. So one of them is with the hourglass with the sand kind of dripping through, kind of part way down. And the other one has all of the sand settled to the bottom of the hourglass. All done in gold ink. And then you have the red and black joker in the corners outlined in gold metallic. Really nice on those. You also get a power ace, the ace of spades, as is usually the case. Very beautiful and just highly flourished pip. You do have that gear in the center, keeping with the time or the clockwork theme, and then extra red kind of flourishes and gold metallic ink outlining that black spade pip in the center. Has Chronos, Carmina at the top and Oath playing cards at the bottom, and then a little peek of the custom spade pips. Again, lots of flourishes and gold added on them, as well as a bold black and gold index in the corner. Nice, easy to read, but kind of tall and skinny one. And then as you go through the number cards, you get a better look at some of those custom pips. Really beautiful detailing on them. Love the flourishes, the shape, and yet still very distinctly a spade pip. And then you get a little bit of a custom layout, as a very slightly custom on a couple of them, but still very familiar layout to the pips as a whole. And then the quartz are both classic, but completely redrawn as well. Again, super heavy on the use of the gold metallic inks. You can see very bold designing in these, and even just very, delicate shading even through the faces, etc. And then the outfit is made of gold, red, and black, along with little gear elements that you'll see made out as you look through them. So all very, very familiar court cards, but at the same time, fully custom and designed from the ground up. Love the heavy use of the gold metallic inks. And yet the shading that he got there with just gold ink, kind of give that shading effect and some extra depth to the faces. The red cards are classic red, but of course outlined with lots more of that gold metallic ink again. So you get some custom diamond pips as well. And then here's the red quartz, very much the same sort of style that we're looking at with the spades. So there's your diamond quartz. And then here's the large club pip down through the numbers. Quick look at the club pips, or club court cards. I like the Queen of Clubs holding a stopwatch there in her hands. And then there's your heart. Really interesting look. I love that the flourishes are kind of at the bottom instead of the top. Gives it a really interesting shape or feel to the heart. And then here are the heart court cards. And again, lots of extra little gear bits included throughout the card. So really nicely done. Now that is the deck and the design. Now as far as handling, these are not a deck that's really meant for high-end handling. It's on a different stock. It's not, if you're used to US PCC or Cartamundi, these are definitely going to feel different. They fan reasonably well, but not quite as smooth as maybe you're used to if you've used some of those other decks. But they do handle nicely. Definitely a thicker stock, a much sturdier stock than, again, those other decks you'd be used to. Most people who are using handling decks really like that kind of thinner crushed stock maybe to get from like Bicycle or something like that. But these are really nice sturdy deck of cards, and they still do handle fans, cuts reasonably well. A little bit of clumpiness. So like I said, not as smooth as maybe some of the others, but I don't think that's the main point of the deck either. For me, and that kind of gets into the last bit, what is the deck for? For me, either as an art deck, beautiful deck, both to, enjoy the tuck case as well as the beautiful designs inside, or just as a deck to use for gameplay. I think this is one that'll really bring a lot of elegance to a poker night. Still very nice, easily readable pips, indices, court cards, very recognizable. So one that can just give a classier feel to just your everyday poker night. So for me, gameplay and collectors, that's really where this is going to find its home. So that's it. That is the look at the Chronos Players Playing Cards Carmina Edition from Oath Playing Cards. Go check out JP Games Limited, where you can get this deck for yourself if you like what you see here. Still definitely available. You can still grab one, and they're still at a great price point. So hope you enjoyed this look. Let me know what other decks you want to see in the future. Subscribe for more deck reviews and unboxings, and I'll see you for the next one.